Hello everyone. So this afternoon we're going to change tracks and talk about the media agency of tomorrow and what molds we need to break. So I have a set of young leaders who are going to break that mold and take us into the next decade of high growth. You know, the media agency first arrived in the 60s, then moved to America in the 80s, and finally landed on Indian shores in the mid 90s. I would say media agencies have had a good bull run for the last 25 years. But it's true that with so much change that is happening, I think although we have changed, we have been agile, I think a lot more needs to be done. And my worthy organizers have given me 20 minutes to discuss these earth-shattering changes which these young leaders are going to bring about in the next decade. So we decided that we're going to treat this as a kickoff session, and I'm going to ask each one of you to address one issue as I see it. So the first issue, Aditi, for me, is that of structure. And no less than our creative genius, Nick Law, also talked about the importance of structure in creative. So I guess it's even more important in media. Now, as I see it, you know, with so much happening, I don't think media agencies have an ideal structure. We've kind of grown a little, you know, whatever service the client wanted, we set it up. And we're somehow a collection of distinct services. We're trying to integrate them and all, but are we really succeeding? And what should we do to present one holistic, integrated face tomorrow?
So I agree, you know, somewhere the way the industry evolved, we sort of had people who specialized in television, then suddenly digital, then now sometimes CRM, and you know, you have some specialists who come together and we try to create client-centric structures. I think that's the direction in which everybody is trying to go. But perhaps there is a need to step back, because I think the strength that media agencies really have in today's dynamic world is they are the ones who best understand the consumer journey. You know, they see all touch points from all aspects, and anybody who's able to bring that together in today's complex world is really going to be the best partner to the client. Because everybody is looking at how best can we make the journey more meaningful. I mean, what we saw just now, MTV, you know, people they don't have attention, they feel all this social media is maybe not real. So how do you make brand messaging real? And how do we create structures and ways of working which allow a seamless flow of that learning?
But Aditi, that's my question to you.
I know. So I'm coming to what is the way that I think, 2-3 things that we have, I would say, started with. Going client-centric versus function-centric is one. So getting people on a particular business to come together irrespective of fields and get everybody to think together, not when they need to execute. So you don't tell the TV guy, listen, you come in
Correct.
with 500 GRPs. You tell them to be a part of the conversation with the strategic team, with the digital team. So everybody understands what are you trying to gun for. That's one. The second thing that we've also realized is sometimes it's not good enough to assign people to one piece of business and then wait. Yes, learning happens, but there is another concept that we have now started working with, which is called fixed and fluid teams, which means that people are not necessarily stuck to one business. You work, even large businesses, you know, typically large businesses have exclusive teams because that's the requirement. But what we've realized is that there are learnings that you get across, and moving that into what we are calling the fixed and fluid teams is another way to ensure that the learning is sort of transcending and moving across. I think this is where we are today. But very pertinent question that you asked is that going to be where media agencies will be tomorrow? And I think we will need to take a hard look at ourselves. One of the big challenges, I think, which all of us struggle with is something called remuneration.
Amin, let me ask you, what should we do about ensuring, high quality talent in our industry? From where I'm seeing this, frankly, over these 25 years, I have seen I don't know if can use the word deterioration, but there is some sort of let up in the levels of institutes and places from where we are hiring. And whilst we have done that, our clients, on the other hand, are actually hiring from better and better institutes. And then they complain to us that, look, why are people not up to the mark? Look at my people and look at your people. So, what's the solution? How do we do this? And obviously, clients don't want to pay for it.
Right. So, I think you've answered some part of the question by yourself by saying clients don't want to pay for it. So, if commission and remuneration structures come down year on year, it only throws in that much amount of challenge for the agencies to recruit people and talent accordingly. So I think that is an industry-wide problem, and I don't think we'll be able to solve for it right now. And maybe we can pick that up as we move along, in our journey. But the other way to do it is for agencies to, step back and stop throwing warm bodies on every problem that the client is throwing at you. I think we need to just step back and see. We are talking about digital transformation for our clients. We are talking about consulting for our clients. We are talking about value-added services for our client. But are we really applying that to ourselves? Are we bringing in automation? Are we bringing in technology to really solve for what we are then providing as a solution to our clients? So I think agencies really need to reflect back and bring in the aspect of technology and solving. Otherwise, I don't think that we'll go very far by continuing to throw warm bodies at every problem.
I mean, maybe there is good news on the way. I think just like how our president has pulled off a great Goafest, we're now looking to him. We have been working on this for the last 6 months to actually put out in the industry some guidelines for remuneration of agencies, media agencies especially, as a first step, so that, that becomes some kind of a benchmark or guideline. Let me now move to another very important area as I see it, and that is training. And training not necessarily at entry levels or junior levels. One of the things that strike me is, as our young industry is now 25 years old, we have had now, media planners who have been working exclusively in the media area, who have now grown in seniority to become CXOs or CEOs. But as I see it, a CXO or a CEO of a media agency needs to understand the whole picture of marketing, needs to understand where media spends fit in, what is the effect of that on brand finances, what is the important role of creative. I find most media people are disinterested in creative. They don't even know what creative is playing. Any thoughts on that? What should we do to prepare our CXOs and CEOs to understand the marketing process in a more holistic way? Because I think only then can they operate as media agency CEOs successfully.
Absolutely. Sam, thank you so much for this and getting me into this. As you rightfully said, that I think media agencies come a long way, and there was an era where the scale was important, which obviously we are calling it the first era of advertising. Then came the digital era of advertising in the early 2000s, where digital platforms became very important, the Facebooks and the Googles of the world, and so many other platforms came in. And I genuinely feel that we are now moving into the third era of advertising in the next 10 years. The third era of advertising, we can call it actually neither scaled, nor digitized, or specialized, as you can call it, but I can say it's more sophisticated. So when I say sophisticated, what I'm saying is today the age-old way of working for advertising agencies will not work anymore. So you will not be able to work in silos. You will have to offer a full funnel of services. You will have to have analytics, data, commerce. So therefore, your training and the people in the agency also need to be trained. Everybody will need to unlearn and relearn this entire sophistication. And once we are able to introduce this entire sophistication journey to our clients, clients will also understand how much effort it is taking for the agency to take them into the sophisticated era. So that's what I would say.
So that takes me or leads me on to my next thought. And for a long time we have been saying that how do we move up the value chain in the client's mind? After all, I think we pride ourselves in believing that we are part of the knowledge industry. So are management consultancies. And we heard one such earlier in the day talking about creative. Now, they seem to command a much higher, or they seem to command a higher spot at the top table than we do. So what should we do, Mohit, to move up the value chain and seek a place or a seat at the top table? I think it's very critical for our long-term survival and prosperity.
Absolutely, Sam. I personally call it the wife and the mistress syndrome. And please don't take me otherwise. Wives are the loyal media agencies for the clients, and the mistresses obviously are the new age consultants who are coming. And yes, in spite of the fact that the agencies are working on every aspect of the client delivery, we are seeing that consultants get a much better revenue or a value out of the client's pocket. And in my view, the only way to move up the value chain is to train ourselves to start thinking as problem solvers rather than media plan providers. And many times what happens, as you rightly said, the people at the top, they are media planners who've evolved and become CXOs. We have to understand the problem that the brand is facing and create a solution for that. So it is not a TV, it's an audio-visual solution. That audio-visual can be television, can be YouTube, can be anything that is audio-visual. It could be an audio solution, which is whether it's digital audio or on radio. So I think we have to move up in our own thinking. The way we see a media plan, it has to be a communication plan. And in my view, instead of TV planners, we should have audio-visual planners. Instead of a print planner, we should have static planners. Instead of a radio planner, we should have audio planners. So that's the way things are moving in today's day and age.
So, my one thought in that area, Aditi, is that possibly this has happened because, originally we were positioned as media buying agencies. So we are spending the client's money, and therefore the line of thinking became, the media agency that saves me most money is a good agency. So shouldn't we be turning things around and saying, look, we are not here to save you money, we are here to help you make money. So please hold us responsible for outcomes. That is, have I grown your market share? Have I grown your sales? Rather than holding me to CPRP and rates and reach and frequency and all that. After all these are sort of interim parameters which may or may not meet or drive the ultimate objective of sales, market share and profitability. So, do you think we need to kind of rethink this issue and say, look, we are not going to be responsible for this, we are responsible for what you really need? Any thoughts?
No, absolutely. I think there is a start in case of some clients where they are willing to look at growth-led metrics. So it's their business growth, and therefore more outcomes versus results of a media plan. So sometimes media plans work very well. You have everything perfect, business doesn't move, and then there is this whole disconnect. So moving in that direction works better for us because then we are consultative. What we are doing and what Naveen said, we are providing those services. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, we are not being seen in that light. And therefore, putting that on the table up front when we talk to clients, I think makes eminent sense. That's going to be the way of the future, where we are partners for growth.
So, Amin, well, this sounds very good, but obviously we are not in charge, or we're not in control of every element of the marketing mix. And one very important element is distribution, for which we really have no input or not much say. So any thoughts on how we could overcome this kind of
I think a lot of work has started happening in terms of attribution, Sam. So that's one area. We've been talking about as an industry on bringing in industry-wide measurement on the digital side of the business. And I think all of us need to come together to really push that agenda through. But if you look at the right-hand side of the funnel, which is the mid and the lower funnel, I think we can definitely control because e-commerce and D2C and some of those businesses where distribution is actually democratized thanks to data and the digital acceleration in the country. So I think at least on those side of places, we can easily work in with the clients to drive their sales, or we can drive growth as a number, and maybe relook at the model accordingly. So there is an opportunity. I don't think everything is shut. I think some things are available to us to take. Some things as an industry we need to come together to really push the needle.
My last question, Shakespeare said, what's in a name? But I think a lot. And one of the problems as I see going forward will be with our nomenclature of media agency.
Yeah.
Should we try and first get ourselves out of this agency nomenclature? What's your thought on that?
Absolutely, Sam.
Let me ask this to each one of you, and then we'll close this.
We are the media partners and not media agencies. So I think that partnership has to be made very, very obvious.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure whether we want to be also restricted to media, because media itself as a word is changing. So maybe one needs to think of a better word, but definitely partners or consultants, because it is not, agency gives a very wrong cue. And that's when we start talking about percentages, commissions, it goes in the wrong direction.
You're right.
I think growth partners, could be,
Great.
Yeah.
Growth partner.
Growth partner. Okay. I would again go back to sophistication point of view, and I would say moving away from what I would say one-way communications to more commerce and experiences, because that is where the future.
Well, I think on that note, we'll have to bring this discussion to a close. I have seen many, I wouldn't even call them clients, many small to medium-sized businesses who have not dealt with either creative agencies or media agencies. Sometimes when they write to me, they say, we are looking for a marketing partner, or we are looking for marketing consultancy. Can you provide us that
Service.
So maybe I think a key element in that should be the word marketing, because I
Yes,
think that
marketing.
is broadly understood by most people as helping me sell my product, which is what we are all, I think, ultimately doing. So as we discussed over lunch, I think let's treat this only as a kickoff session.
Sure.
So I think let's meet again, maybe over a few whiskeys one evening, and discuss this more threadbare. I think I have 2-3 other things also to add to this conversation, and then let's make a recommendation to our executive committee at 3 Years of I and target putting out a composite sort of recommendation and a guideline in the next 3 months. Okay, thank you very much everybody for listening to me.
Thank you,
And all of us. You have in front of you our bright young leaders of tomorrow who are going to take us now to what? We have crossed 100,000 crores in ADEX, or 250,000 crores.